The courtroom was full that morning, yet an uneasy quiet lingered in the air. People shifted in their seats, eyes glancing at the man sitting at the defendant's table, a homeless veteran with a weathered face, gray hair that hung long and tired, and a beard that seemed to carry decades of struggle. His clothes were worn, his hands scarred, his eyes hollow yet deep. He looked like someone who had walked through fire and never fully come back. Few people knew his name, and fewer still cared. But that was about to change in a way no one could have predicted. The bailiff called the session to order, his voice echoing across the wood-paneled walls. Case of the state versus Daniel Harper. The sound of the name rang out, sharp and heavy, but to most people it was just another case another man society had pushed aside. To the judge, however, it was like the strike of a bell, one that sent shockwaves deep into his memory. The judge froze for a moment, pen slipping from his hand. His eyes widened, searching the face of the defendant as if confirming what his heart already knew. Daniel Harper, that name. It was not a name he could ever forget. Slowly, with a gravity that pulled the room into silence, the judge pushed back his chair and stood. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Judges didn't stand in silence for defendants. They presided, they commanded, but they did not rise too. Their feet unless something extraordinary had occurred. Every pair of eyes shifted between the judge and the veteran, trying to piece together the mystery unfolding before them. Daniel sat there, bewildered, his hands trembling slightly as they rested on the worn wood of the defense table. He had expected ridicule, judgment, maybe even disdain. But what he saw in the judge's eyes was something entirely different: recognition, sorrow, and an unspoken bond that reached back into a past both men had tried to bury. "Mr. Harper," the judge finally said, his voice softer now, almost breaking, "do you remember me?" Daniel blinked, confusion clouding his gaze. His voice cracked, dry and unsure. "Sir, I don't know. Should I?" The judge swallowed hard, his throat tightening. "We served together," he said. "I know your face, I know your name. You saved my life." A stunned silence consumed the courtroom. Even the prosecutors, who had prepared their case meticulously, were struck dumb. The audience, many of them only attending out of curiosity, suddenly felt the weight of a story much larger than the charges. Listed on paper, Daniel's eyes flickered as if sparks of recognition began to light. "Charlie?" he whispered, his voice barely audible. His body shook, not from fear, but from the sudden rush of memories, long-suppressed memories of dirt, smoke, and screams on a battlefield oceans away. "Yes," the judge breathed. "It's me," the courtroom blurred as time folded back. For both men, it was no longer a place of wood benches and legal arguments, but the roar of helicopters, the crack of gunfire, the sting of smoke in their lungs. They had been young then, both fighting to survive a war that had no winners. And one night, when the enemy ambushed their unit, it had been Daniel Harper who dragged a bleeding young soldier to safety, shielding him with his own body, refusing to let him die. That soldier had lived, and today he wore a black robe and presided over this very court. Tears welled in Daniel's eyes, the weight of years crashing down on him. "I didn't think anyone remembered," he whispered. His voice was shaky, filled with both shame and relief. "I came back broken. I lost everything, my family, my home, myself. I thought the world had forgotten me." The judge's voice trembled. "You were never forgotten, Daniel. Not by me, not by those who owe you their lives." The prosecutor, shifting uneasily, cleared his throat. "Your Honor, the charges," but the judge raised his hand. "Not another word," he said firmly. "This man is not just another defendant. He is a hero who gave everything, and the system failed him. We failed him." Murmurs filled the room, people nodding, some even wiping their eyes. For once, a courtroom was not divided into guilty or innocent, but into human beings united by the undeniable truth that sacrifice deserved honor, not condemnation. Daniel tried to speak but broke down, his shoulders shaking as years of silence cracked open. "All I ever wanted was to come home, but home never wanted me back," he whispered. The judge stepped down from the bench, something almost unheard of in a trial. He approached Daniel slowly, his footsteps echoing with meaning. And then in front of everyone he extended his hand. "You brought me home, Daniel. Now let me bring you back." The entire courtroom erupted in applause, not the wild kind you'd hear at a theater, but the heavy, emotional sound of people moved beyond words. In that moment, the veteran who had been invisible to society stood tall again, not as a defendant, but as a man whose story could never be erased. What followed was not a typical trial. The charges were re-evaluated, the legal system bent toward mercy, and the community rallied. People who had once looked past Daniel now saw him for what he truly was, a man who carried scars not of crime, but of sacrifice. Support poured in. Veterans organizations reached out, and for the first time in decades, Daniel Harper was not alone. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed, eager for a headline. But the real story was not about a homeless man facing trial. It was about recognition, about dignity, about the power of remembering that behind every weary face on the street, there is a name, a history, a soul. As Daniel stood in the sunlight, blinking against the brightness he had almost forgotten, the judge walked beside him. No longer just an authority figure, but a brother in arms. "You're not forgotten," the judge repeated firmly. "Not anymore." Daniel lifted his head, a faint smile breaking through the tears. For the first time in years, he felt human again. Not broken, not discarded. Just Daniel Harper, the man, the soldier, the survivor. And as the world around them carried on, one truth lingered in the air like a promise. Sometimes the smallest act of recognition can restore a life. Sometimes all it takes is a name remembered, and silence that speaks louder than words. The moral of this story is simple yet profound. Never judge someone by their circumstances, because behind their struggles may lie a history of sacrifice, love, and courage we cannot begin to imagine. Every life has value, every name carries a story, and no one should ever feel forgotten. If this story moved you, let it be more than just words on a screen. Share it, speak about it, and remember the unseen heroes who walk among us every day. And if you believe in honoring those who've given so much, take a moment to like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that remind us of the strength and dignity of the human spirit, because sometimes the greatest battles are not fought on foreign soil, but right here at home, in the fight to be seen, heard, and remembered.